Okay, sorry about that. There's some people out in the hallway. I was worried that I thought I'd found time we wouldn't have interruption. We're solid. Okay, so we were about to talk about the mesentery. I moved things up. And the mesentery is part of the peritoneum. You might remember that we had 3 serous membranes we wanted you to know. Around the lungs, we had the pleura. Around the heart, we had the pericardia. And then around all the abdominal organs, we had the peritoneum. The mesentery is part of the peritoneum. It's a fold of it, and it holds things like the stomach or the spleen. It holds them, hooks them to the body wall. Anyway, and there are mesenteric arteries that travel through the mesentery. Same idea as what we were talking about, the omentum. There are, it's not just connective tissue hanging there. In this case, it's not just serous membrane hanging there. It has important vessels and things in it. Okay, so we've got that. The pancreas. All right, already pulled that out of the way. Let's do some reassembly here. Actually, I'm gonna pause it while I do the reassemble. Hold on. Okay, that's put back together partially. We still have the liver and the stomach out, so you can see that behind the stomach here we have the spleen. We already, sorry, the pancreas. This is the spleen over here, where you filter out old red blood cells, make new red blood cells. We do that there too. We do more of the making of the red blood cells in bones, but anyway. Here we have the pancreas, and the pancreas is famous for making insulin. So we'd say, oh, it's part of the endocrine system, and that's true, but it's also an accessory organ in the digestive system. The reason why is it makes digestive enzymes that work in the intestines. Like the stomach makes digestive enzymes, and they work really well in stomach acid. But then when we have the stomach acid leave the stomach, we have the chyme, the food acid mixture, leave the stomach, go through the pyloric sphincter into the duodenum here. When that happens, we have to neutralize the acid so it doesn't hurt the intestines, hurt the duodenum. The way we do that is that the pancreas secretes basic mucus, basic fluid that comes out here into the duodenum, neutralizes the acidity to protect the intestines. Well, when you do that, you denature the stomach enzymes. They don't work anymore at that high pH, at that basic pH. They only work in the acid. So, are we done with digestion? No, the pancreas also supplies digestive enzymes. So it protects the duodenum and supplies digestive enzymes. It obviously is also an accessory part of the digestive system. Accessory just means like an added on one. When we talk about the digestive system, the teeth would be an accessory system, accessory part. Anyway, so you've got the pancreas, you've got its digestive job, you've got its job of making insulin for the endocrine system, controlling sugar levels in the blood. Now, we mentioned multiple times the spleen right here. The spleen, left side only, tail of the pancreas, right next to the tail of the pancreas. That, and you can see the splenic artery going here right along the pancreas. That is where you filter out old, worn out red blood cells that are at the end of their useful life, which is like 20 days. And we do some making of new ones there too. The liver, right here, you remember it's right below the diaphragm. The liver is the main filtration for the blood. It takes, I'll be honest, the liver is probably one of the most complicated organs in the body. There are so many things the liver does. One of the things it'll do is it'll take excess glucose in the blood and filter it out and turn it into glycogen, which is a molecule you can store for longer term. But the one it's famous for is filtering out waste and neutralizing, detoxifying things that are bad for the body. But it does other things too. If you look right here, this is a gallbladder. It makes bile that stores in the gallbladder, and during digestion, it releases into the duodenum this bile, which is actually one of the things it's made of is a breakdown of hemoglobin that's from the worn out spleen, takes worn out red blood cells, breaks them down, and the worn out hemoglobin becomes urobilin, which becomes bilirubin, which becomes part of the bile, and that becomes something that helps you digest fats when it is released into the duodenum. Anyway, so you can see it all works together. The liver, I would call it accessory organ for digestion because it makes the bile, but it also helps filter the blood. It doesn't pump the blood, but it helps to, we already said, chemically convert sugars to long-term storage. Tons of uses. So you can put it in many organs. I'd put in digestion as an accessory. But anyway, you got that. Now kidneys, gonna take things out again. Put it back in a minute. You have two kidneys, and the right one hangs a little bit lower than the left. I'm gonna open it up so you can see. The kidneys, we have the renal pyramids, and we have the calyces that collect, the stripes you're seeing are the nephrons and the collecting ducts that collect urine, and they drip them from the tip of the renal pyramid into this calyx, and the calyx collects the urine, and the urine's going to go out through the renal pelvis to the ureter, which will go down to the bladder. Anyway, so this is part of the urinary system. This is part of getting rid of waste. So we carry the blood, the circulatory system carries nutrients and oxygen to the cells. The cells use it, they make waste, and that waste has to be removed from the body. And so the urinary system is the way that we can pee that out, get rid of it. All right, on top, I'll put the front back on this kidney. On top of the kidney, we have the adrenal glands right here, okay? Those adrenal glands, they're the ones that make adrenaline. They also, not as famous for it, but they make hormones like testosterone in small amounts, not like the gametes, but they make some of the sex hormones. Okay, so you got that. And those, of course, would be part of the endocrine system because they're making hormones. Okay, so you understand that. Now, the ureter and the urinary bladder. This tube going, like here's a kidney, here's the kidney. The tube coming down from the kidney, the tube that carries urine from the kidney to the bladder, that's the bladder right there, that is called a ureter. Now, the tube that carries urine from the bladder to the outside of the body is going to be called the urethra. Okay, so function of bladder, small but expand to hold urine until we can get rid of it, until we can void it. Fancy word you might need eventually in medicine, micturition is production of urine. Is that correct? I think micturition is it might be the voiding of urine. Let's check and find out. I don't want to give you guys the wrong information. Be right back. Okay, micturition is the release of urine, not the making of urine in the kidneys. Glad I double checked. But anyway, we are at the end of the table. Well, not really. We are at female rat, male rat. We didn't get to do the rat dissection, and we're not going to here. If I used scrotum, testis, uterus, ovary off of a rat, they would be one of the photos that you have in either a video or photos from the lab. I would prefer, if there are photos in the lab, to use those. Anyway, it's unlikely I'm going to use the rat things because you didn't get to experience the rat things firsthand. If I do use the rat things, it will be something from the lab manual. So that's the end. That's the end of this video. So that's what you need for chapter 2. I hope that is helpful to you guys.